Ann Jenkins, and welcome to the Beauty of Oil Painting. Today I've got a cute little painting for you. It's called Nesting. Let's take a look at the finished painting that I'm going to be working from. He is so cute. This little bird up here, this little yellow and black bird. I don't know what kind of bird he is. It's just some sort of little sparrow out in the garden. And when we watch all the birds in our yard, Gary and I, we watch them in the spring, and they're going around to all the bushes and collecting all this little material to make their nests out of. And when I did this painting, I just thought he was sitting there looking, wouldn't that make a great nest to pick all those little leaves and ferns out of? So that's what we're going to be doing today. So come on up here and take a look at the canvas. I have it started for you because we don't have a lot of time up here. This is just acrylic, very, very pale, like a sky blue color. It's just blue and white acrylic on the whole canvas, and it's so, so pale. It's almost white, but not quite. It's got a little blue. And then I put the little tracing of the bird, and the pattern will be in the book. And I put that on, and then this is acrylic again, black acrylic, and a little bit of black in the eye, and I just got it started with the yellow oil paint around the eye. This is acrylic. This is just different shades of greens with some sienna in them, and I just put it on very, very loose, and then I took a paper towel. I just crisscrossed the color on. I've got a nice curving, sweeping motion here, and then some siennas, and just got a few branches that are started here. And then when this acrylic was still wet, this green, I took a crumpled up paper towel and just kind of brought some of it out like this to loosen up the edges, because this is going to be ferns and leaves and twigs and weeds and all kinds of foliage in here. So let's get started up on our little bird. I'm going to start with the head area. And I usually always start with the head or the face to begin with. And I better put on my glasses because he's a tiny little guy. And I got to get in here real close. So come on in here close with me. And I've got a little liner, or a little round brush. And now I'm going to be using oil paint from now on. So remember, you can always use oil over acrylic, but never acrylic over oil. So I've got this little round pointed sable brush, and I've started with a little bit of yellow oil around the eye. And this is also ultra smooth canvas, so you get a lot of detail with the smooth canvas. And I'm just going to fill this in solid with this color. This is yellow. This is a cad yellow medium, and I'm going to try to stay within the lines. Be sure you stay within your lines and get a good accurate drawing on here. And with the pattern already in the book, and you just trace it off using graphite paper, black graphite paper, onto the dry acrylic background, and get a good accurate sketch. See, just yellow. And then I'm going to pick up a little orange. This is cadmium orange, and we're going to go in right close to his head. This was a colorful little bird. This is right close to the beak. I don't know what kind of bird. I'm not really up on my birds, and I'm going to wipe the brush off, and I'm just going to soften that color out, kind of using a little back and forth sketchy motion to get it softened out into the yellow area. And so I have a little black for the eyeball, and then I put a little bit of white also. Forgot to mention that in the center for the little highlight, because even though he's just a tiny little thing, you want to see the highlights, the sparkle in his eye. He's a happy little guy. I think I don't know if he's a male and he's out looking for a little nest material for his little sweetheart to build her nest, or if this is the lady and she's out busy doing her housekeeping and finding little things for her house. And this is white, and it's picking up a little of the yellow, and I'm just, with the tip of the brush, just getting some little tiny feather strokes in here. Just little tiny, and blend it all into the orange here. Just soften that out. That's on the front of his head. And then we're going to put a little bit, I'm going to take a little black or a little gray, and we're going to put a little bit of a line. He had kind of a little, I guess it was maybe kind of eyeliner around the eye. Gives him a little bit more of an expression. And a tiny little bit of aqua blue and white. And he had a little bit of blue coming out from under that eye. Just very soft. I don't know if you can see that. It's very, very soft. And we'll get his beak on. And by the way, I'm using titanium white when I use white because that is the most, it has the most covering power. This is yellow. And I had a little bit of black acrylic on there to start with. I'll take a little sienna and ochre, and we'll soften a little shadow. Whoops. You gotta hold your breath when you do this because this is a tiny little area. Put a little shadow in there. So now let's get on his body. Come on down to the palette and I'll show you this brush. It's a little flat, very, very small, little teeny brush. I'm going to dip into just a tiny bit of medium. I'm going to go up here and I have some sienna and black and white mixed together, kind of a warm gray. And we're going to start these little feathers in here. And I'm just pushing down and lifting up and kind of keeping the contour of his body just to show a little bit of feather work. I'm just using the edge of the brush, just the edge. See that? This is so simple, it's ridiculous. Then he had some fluffy little feathers coming out here. And a touch of yellow, either the yellow medium or the light yellow, and he had some little light, kind of yellowy feathers on his body. See that? And we'll just soften those in. You can wipe your brush off and just smear that together to soften it out. If you had a very small little blender brush, you could get in here. I don't have a real small one today. And we'll put a little bit of light on his tail just to bring the tail out. Okay, and then now we want to get some color on his body, some sienna and ochre, and we'll put a little shadow color in here, like so. Just wiggle that in. You could actually do this and then go in with the wet black acrylic, black oil paint. But since I had this black already on here and it's dry, we'll just sneak it around here and it won't smear. And then we'll go back into the yellow, very dry. And just as you go, just soften in the little shadow area, into the little shadow area. Soften it out. And then we'll take some white into our light yellow, white and yellow, and we'll hit a little bit right out here for a little stronger light, and a little bit right here. Okay, and I see we have a little bit. If you have a little bit of your drawing showing, just go over it with your paint. And I don't have a lot of time, so I'll just quickly do that. But that kind of covers that up. I'm going to maybe get a little bit more white right here for a little bit of a highlight on him. And I'm going to go in with some black oil paint right now and kind of clean this area up here. And maybe we'll bring a couple little feathers out over. There we go. He's looking good. Take your time. You have a lot more time than I do. So take your time with it, because I have to hurry up here. I love to paint, but I really don't like to paint this fast. But boy, if this is the only way we can do shows for you, then we're gonna do it, because we love, Gary and I, Gary, that's my husband, you know, we love to do shows. So let's get started and let's get on that foliage or that nesting material. I'm going to pick up a bigger brush. This is about a 1/2 inch flat, very good chiseled edge. Now come on up to the canvas. Now, like I said before, this is dry acrylic, all different colors of greens, and I even took some of the light acrylic background color and just dotted it in here, like sort of like sky area showing through for the birds to fly through. So we'll start out. Now this is a layering process, and you have to start out layering everything in here. I'll just get something that shows. I'm just going to plunk around and get, oh gosh, I'm mixing everything. Green, sienna, yellow, ochre, and I want to get some grasses. Now I'm using the chiseled edge of the brush. Don't press, if you press down, you're going to get a wide line. If you stay up on the chisel, you're going to get some very narrow lines. And we're going to start with just some loose grasses in here. And I want to keep this same flow going around. It's just like a bunch of shrubbery falling down under a tree or something. Now this is just grasses to get everything started. And what you do with this foliage is you just layer. And I'm going to go into a little darker, maybe some green and sienna into that yellow mixture. And well, let's get some kind of reddish orange color, orange and ochre. You can experiment and just get anything you like. There we go, just some nice grasses. This is the underneath layer, way underneath, and most of this will not show, but some of it will. And I better get his little branch so he's not floating up in the air too before I run out of time. I'm going to, I think I'll stay with the same brush and take some sienna with a touch of black. And let's see how we do with this big brush. So again, you can't press down or you're going to get way too wide of a branch. Let's start right up here under his feet. And I'm pressing, then I'm lifting, then pressing, then lifting. And that way I'm going to get different size of twigs, different thicknesses. And let's bring it right around here. Now you could use a liner brush, which I'm going to switch to in a minute. Let's get some right behind his tail. I'm going to switch to it to get some longer branches coming out in a second, but I wanted to get this on here and get it going. A few twigs before we forget. Now I'm going to switch to the liner brush. Now the liner brush, you want to use some medium with it to make it a little thinner so it flows. This is that long brush with the long hairs. And let's get some skinny little, whoops, I'm going to switch to just Terp instead of medium. Terp makes it a little thinner. And there we go. Get some nice long guys. You can run them right off the canvas. And they twist and turn, all kinds of little guys. And maybe coming up here. Now remember, this is one thing that's so neat about a dry acrylic background, because if you mess up the twigs, you can just take some clean Terp and you can just wipe it off of this background. So it's so neat. And let's come up here and let's get some nice little twigs shooting over here and maybe over here. And this is just, you can just make this up, get it nice and woodsy. We want it nice and woodsy. And way down on the bottom here, let's get some little ones shooting out over here. Let's get some little guys. I'm just right up on the tip of that brush. And sometimes they curl around. Look at that. Really curly. Sometimes they're more angled, they overlap. And where else? Maybe over here. I'm just jumping all over the place here and get some real neat little twigs coming out. So let's get on that fern, and I'm going to show you, let's take a look at the finished one. I'm going to show you some of the long leaves here, some of the ferns, maybe some of the dark leaves coming out, and if we have time, some of the daisies. And I won't get as much foliage in as I have in the original because it takes quite a long time to layer all the layers on here. It's very simple. I know you can do it. It's just so simple, it's ridiculous. But I don't have time to do every single little leaf, so we'll just get it started now. I'm starting out with a chisel brush. Come on in here close, real close. And I'm going to start out with the chisel and then press and come out onto the chisel. You see that? This is the way the little leaves are done. And I'm going to get real going fast on these. And you start out with the chisel, you flatten, and come to the tip. Now you don't want to do this type of thing. Now, a couple of those might look okay, you know, those don't look half bad, but you don't want those all over the place, so we'll just kind of smear those together. But now sometimes I just press and lift, press and lift, press and lift, like that. So you could just make your design up. You want it to fall down here and come around like they're just falling. And this little guy's gonna reach down and pick all this stuff up. What do I want to use for my nest today? So I will get a lot of these going. I love to sit outside and watch the birds. They are so cute in the spring, and I'm sure a lot of you have nice yards where you can sit out and watch them. Now, as you notice, I started out with darker colors underneath, and then I layer light colors on top. This is greens and yellows and ochres, and maybe we'll try a little blue-green in here and see what that does. Yeah, a little bit of blue, little cool color, especially as it comes down maybe a little more into shadow. We'll get some blue, some cool colors down here. There's a lot of foliage on this. I would let this dry sometimes, and then I'd go back and do some more, and let it dry and add some more. Now I want to get to showing you everything, so I'm going to, let's get some of these light branches in here. I want to show you everything, all the different parts of this painting, so might flip some up here. Oh, before I forget, on the branch, there's a little highlight, a little orange and yellow. Orange and yellow for a highlight on the branches, on some of the branches. Just maybe on the tops. Just dab it along. Just dab it. The light might be catching in a few places on the branch. And we'll get that a little bit lighter. Just here and there. And maybe over here a little bit. Now, I want to show you another little different kind of foliage. And this is with the long twiggy brush. I call it a twiggy. A lot of people call it a twiggy. It's actually a liner brush. And we'll get some little ferns out here. Let's come on down in this area. Or these could be little pine boughs. I'm just using the tip. See that? And I'm just bringing some off there. Paint has to be very, very thin. I'm going to thin it up even more. And maybe my hand was in the way, so let's see if we can do it. Get my hand out of the way. See that? You just bring little pieces out. And some on the other side. And they come to a point. Now there's lots of them in here. And after you sit and get away from your painting for a while, you look at it and you come back to it with a whole new view on things, a whole new perspective. And and then you can see, you know, if it needs more things to balance it out. How about over here? But see, these are real easy. Now I have, in the book, I have a lot of diagrams of all kinds of leaves and foliage and all sorts of things. So you can get ideas, and it shows the technique and the step-by-step how to do all this. And maybe we'll shoot some over here, way over here. Maybe somewhere, simple. These leaves are so simple, but it's just a matter of taking your time and layering. Now there's another one I'm going to switch to the little short sable brush. Come on down on the palette, little short one here. And I'm going to pick up some sienna and green. Sienna and green, a little bit of medium. And we'll kind of roll the brush to get most of the paint off. And let's come on up here, and how about right here, we'll do a stem, push, and lift. See that? That gives you a fatter leaf. A stem, push and lift, push, lift. See that? That's just a different kind of leaf in here. Now I'm going to go around really fast and get a lot of these in. And maybe some over here. Push. And you have to push down quite hard on the brush. You could also use probably a little flat brush to do this. And I'm hoping I'll get time to get these daisies in too. And I'm going to put a few more, I'm going to switch to a flat brush, and I'm going to put a few more grasses in down here. And some of the grasses can come out over the leaves, back and forth, back and forth. And then we also have, I'm going to switch back to the little brush and just pick up some of this dirty color here, some foliage color. And off of these branches up here, you can get some little tiny leaves just coming off some of them. Little tiny leaves. Just here and there. I've got them all over the place. Maybe over here a little bit. Push, lift. Just kind of dot your brush down and it'll happen for you. And maybe down on the bottom. Whoops. Down on the bottom, right down here. See that? Push, lift, push, lift, push, lift. Now, I'm not going to get the rest of the foliage put in because it would just take too long, but it's looking pretty good. I'm going to get some little daisies in for you to show you the technique of those. This is just the little little round brush, the sable round. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of white, or it could be blue and white, and come on right up in this area, right in the middle here. Yeah, there we are. And we'll just push, 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 push. And these are just those little tiny bitty versions of what we always make in the paintings, the great big ones. Sometimes you'll show just, see if we can keep my hand out of here, part of the daisy, we'll show the whole daisy. Sometimes they just peek out from behind the leaves, or you might put some leaves over these. And sometimes you just dot, 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 dot. And there could be blue ones, little blue ones in here. Simple, simple, simple. Now all the detailed instructions will be in the book, and the detailed photo for this. But this is a fun painting to do. And maybe run some leaves over, and then we'll put some little centers. And let's run some leaves or grasses and just shoot some of those into the background. You want them just to be peeking out. And let's put little centers in these guys, because even though they're tiny, it's fun just to show a little center, maybe a little orange and yellow in some of them. See that? It kind of makes them, now he says, oh, that's a little daisy. There we go. So let's back up, and we don't have all of the painting in here, but we got most of it today. I'm going to put just a few little warm colored leaves over here. Press, lift, press, lift, press, lift. Just get some nice warm little guys. And let's take a look at the finished painting. And you can see all the detail in there. See all the nice stuff we've got floating all around here. So this is really, really a fun painting to do. So take your time with it. and go out and pick a lot of foliage out in your yard, and just take lots of photographs and just really study all the different foliage and look at those birds and take lots of photographs of them. So I really do hope you enjoyed today's show. I enjoyed painting this for you. So get your brushes out and your paints and get started painting, because it's a lot of fun. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.